Hey guys, and welcome back to another Jay the One Night Gamer video. Today's video is going to be on Devil May Cry 5. I want to talk about the possibility of a DLC story mode that involves both Vergil and Dante, and also a third character, Mundus. For you guys that don't know, is a big nemesis for Dante and Vergil, and technically the whole Sparta family, because he is the one that technically launched Dante and Vergil down their respective paths, and also is the one that corrupted Vergil into Neo Angelo. Now, he was only mentioned briefly in Devil May Cry 5, but I feel like he should have at least had a bigger role with the brothers, only because he is their arch nemesis. I'm getting ahead of myself, but the whole point of the topic of the video is I want to talk about the possibility and how cool it would be if Capcom did do a full-blown DLC story mission with both Dante and Vergil and their quest to finally vanquish Mundus once and for all. Before I get really into the video, I would like to tell you guys that if you are interested in more Devil May Cry content, I would highly recommend you check out JoJo Wifi. The fact that I'm making this video is because I was inspired by one of his videos where he was talking about Mundus himself and how he wasn't that prevalent in the game. If you want to check out his videos, I highly recommend you go check out his YouTube channel, JoJo Wifi. He has many great videos on theory crafting for Devil May Cry 5 and Devil May Cry the entire series, and he also keeps doing update videos on anything Devil May Cry related, whether that's like leaks or more information on Devil May Cry 5 itself. I'd just like to give a shout out and recognition that thanks to some of his videos, I have been inspired to think of this DLC story missions. So my thought for the DLC would take place literally at the end credits of Devil May Cry 5, because I feel like there's a lot more to do with that. Before I go any further though, I want to mention spoilers, because I'm about to spoil pretty much the end of Devil May Cry 5, both the secret endings and the regular ending. So if you guys don't want that spoiled for you, I highly recommend you play the game or you check out some videos online to see the ending of it, because this is going to be very spoiler heavy. That out of the way, I'm going to continue going forward. So at the end of Devil May Cry 5, Vergil and Dante both go into the demon world, cut down the demon tree's roots, and in doing so, they seal themselves away in the demon world because Vergil decides he's going to use the Yamato to cut the portal behind them. And at the end of the game, depending on how many kills you get as Dante as opposed to Vergil, in the end scene, you get treated to a special ending that involves the brothers in hell actually sparring with each other. And essentially, it's just them doing some friendly banter, you know, actually repairing their relationship. And during the sparring, they're actually attacked by a bunch of demons. Brothers pretty much dispatch them in a very cool, badass fashion, in my opinion, and is a great way to end the game. That's where I think I would like the story DLC to pick up, because I feel like there's more you can do after that, especially with Mundus, because we all know Mundus is not dead. He's technically still in the underworld. He was just sealed by Dante many years ago in the events of Devil May Cry 1. It's pretty reasonable that he would still be there, and I'm pretty sure he would be keeping an eye on the brothers, especially if they did show up to hell, which would be his home turf. And I highly doubt that he would pretty much be obscure, like he wouldn't have that many minions underneath him, or at least he wouldn't have some kind of following in hell, because I know he was the Demon King at one point. What I would do with the DLC story is I'd want to have it be 20 chapters, so like a full campaign, and that way you can give 10 chapters to Dante and 10 chapters to Vergil, and have a nice even split. Maybe the first 2 levels are Vergil to let you know, get your appetite wet with him, and then you maybe do 2 levels as Dante, and then from that point on it just keeps switching back and forth between Dante and Vergil. And this way you get to build up both characters, and essentially you would probably start off obviously with all the upgrades from Dante, so you would just have to spend the currency that you have on Vergil's. I feel like the enemies should be a little more tougher if you do that. That's just my opinion. And you could also have a chance to show off like maybe some new enemies that are only specific to hell, or like hell variations of them which are tougher to, you know, accommodate for the more resources you will have at your disposal as like Dante and Vergil. Story-wise, I feel like it should put an end to their long-standing history with Mundus. I feel like that's how their chapter should end, with the brothers defeating Mundus once and for all, and essentially ridding the world of this threat, so that way Nero in future games doesn't have to deal with Mundus, and he can then have his own nemesis or nemesis. But I also feel like it would be a great arc for Vergil to have closure on it, because Mundus technically did a lot more stuff to Vergil. He obviously corrupted him, he turned him into Neo Angelo, and he pretty much set the events of everything for Devil May Cry going forward. He's the one that killed their mother and pretty much just cemented what it was for both these brothers going forward, especially with the end of Devil May Cry 3 when Vergil falls into hell and challenges Mundus and loses. I'd feel like if the DLC ended, it would be Vergil versus Mundus, only because I feel like he would have the most closure with ending Mundus, because, you know, he would be the tormentor that he had to deal with for so many years. So I think that'd be a nice change of pace for that, and I feel it would be a nice send-off for the Sons of Sparta. Gameplay wise, you obviously don't need to give Dante any more weapons. You would just carry everything over from the main story, so obviously he'll have his 4 melee weapons and his 4 gun weapons. Vergil, I feel like, should have 4 just to be on the same footing as Dante, but I feel like his ability would be a lot different because he doesn't need guns. He would just use his swords. But I feel like if they do Vergil, they should give him a more fleshed out moveset besides the Yamato. I'm not saying you have to give him Beowulf and Force Edge like you did in DMC4 Special Edition. You can give those movesets back to him. You can change them up, like maybe instead of being Force Edge, maybe it's a new demonic sword he finds in hell after beating a boss. The same with like the gauntlet moveset. That way it could be like a traditional gauntlet moveset and something akin to like Beowulf. And then maybe give him one brand new weapon, which I think would be awesome. If I had to think to give him a weapon, I would actually like to see him use a polearm, so maybe like a spear or a naginata I feel would be best for him. So that's what I would do for Vergil, and that way his swapping mechanic would be a lot easier, because instead of using the left and right bumpers to switch between melee and ranged weapons, you would just use both triggers to swap through the melee weapons in mid combos. I feel like he would be a combo monster at that point. That's how I would do a DLC for Devil May Cry 5 and bring Vergil into it, because again, I feel like he deserves a story mode, whether he shares it with Dante or it's himself, but it should feel like his own story mode, and it shouldn't be like what they did in DMC 4 Special Edition, where it was literally just you got a special opening cutscene and a special ending cutscene for Vergil, but you essentially just played the entirety of Devil May Cry 4. You just did Dante and Nero's missions as Vergil because he had the tools to do both, and I feel like this would be a better way to flesh out Vergil and give him more of the attention he deserves. At least that's my train of thought. And obviously this can take like a year. Obviously if they don't want to put this out until like maybe the end of this year or maybe around this time next year, that'd be okay, because obviously we would wait for it. I would honestly wait for it, and I would gladly pay for that. But that's my thought, guys, on a story DLC for like Dante and Vergil, finishing off Mundus once and for all. Yeah, guys, and that's pretty much my whole thought on what I would like to see as a DLC story mode for Devil May Cry 5 that focuses on Dante and Vergil, because I know a lot of people, me included, definitely want to play as Vergil. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. Please hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. I want to thank you all, and I want you all to have a great day. And remember, let's rock!